What's the worst thing you've ever done? Of all the questions that we could be asked during our time on the spinning blue marble, that is way up high on the list of questions that we never even want to think about. We know it's there, and we know we can see it, but we're just going to answer other questions, and oh shit, it's getting lower, it's getting lower, it's getting goddamn lower. And now it is staring us right in the face, and we can answer it. We can be honest, but then we'll answer it. It'll be revealed, and then the fallout may not be what we wanted. It may be what we needed, but we won't like it one single solitary bit. Twinless was written, directed by, and stars James Sweeney, who plays the character of Dennis. And we also see Roman, who's played by Dylan O'Brien, meeting at a support group for those that lost their twin sibling, as opposed to their twin mother, or their twin cousin, or their twin animal, or their twin symbiotic, I don't know, virtual pet or something. That be maybe a body pillow. Whole point is Twinless has received a lot of attention on the film festival circuit. And once I saw it was playing in a theater near me, I got out of the meeting early. I decided to dive into it. And basically the story of this is, well, Roman is going through it because he lost his twin brother Rocky. Watch me pull something out of my hat. Again, Bullwinkle, that never works. That being said, he's going through it. His mother, played by the very gifted and gorgeous Lauren Graham, is trying to help him, pack things up and stuff like that. We see a funeral. We see that Roman is going through it. He ends up in a support group for those that lost their other half, essentially, because when you're a twin, I've never been a twin, obviously. I mean, I'm a sibling. I'm the older sibling, which I always like to remind people of. But if you're a twin and you lose your twin, it's going to be tough. And during this meeting, Roman knows his Dennis. And Dennis talks about his twin brother, Dean. And basically from there, an unlikely friendship develops. One that seemingly is, from a commonality of dealing with grief. And they have certain things in common. Certain things get revealed. And then there is a shift that we all can see coming. That hits us in the stomach, in the throat, in the fucking head. And basically, just fuck. Dylan O'Brien has a career-defining performance here. I'm not saying he will never do anything this good again, but this is this is so monumentally good. It's so layered. He is so good. Just presenting this side of grief and everything where he's not perfect and stuff gets revealed about him, but he's trying his best. He's trying to go on without his somebody he was born with. I mean, somebody he was in the womb with. You don't forget a bond like that. And Dennis is there to help him through that. And then, boy, once that part hits, my God. I want to say also tremendous performance by James Sweeney. He does great. Ashlyn Franciosi, however you say that, the one from The Nightingale, and also from the Speak No Evil remake. She plays Marcy. I'm so glad she's in, more movies because, one, I think she's magnificent. I think she's very gifted. I think she's very gorgeous, and I have no problem supporting her and stuff like that. Also, she was in stop motion. Actually had a good performance in that. Unfortunately, the movie was kind of threadbare. But this is fucking fabulous. This is one of the best fucking movies of the year. And this will hit you. This will hit you hard. I'm not saying it's the most wholly original story, and sure, there are things people could pick apart. It's simplistic on the surface, but then also complex once you peel back the layers. And it's just so good and so well done. And there was one point early on during the support group scene. I'm going to reference this in the spoilers. I'm going to dive into it in the spoilers. Where there was one line said, where I said, I know where this is going, but I want to be wrong. And I wasn't wrong. God damn it. This is so good, though. Dylan's great. James is great. Ashlyn is great. Lauren Graham, during the brief scenes that she's able to have. This is just such a fabulously performed movie that I can overlook the fact that there are some stereotypical beats. Not necessarily unoriginality in a bad way, but just stuff that you have seen before, but just the way this is presented. It's low-key on the surface. You dive into it, it's just so good. It's so well performed. So fucking good. Really loved it. Check it out in theaters. Look forward to seeing James making some more movies. And Dylan O'Brien deserves a lot of awards for his goddamn performance here. Anyways, so 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, in the beginning, not only was there a rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said, I will continue to say that for no goddamn reason. We see a shot of a restaurant from the street, and then we hear an accident. And then we go to a funeral, and we see Roman dealing with the loss of his twin brother, Rocky. His mother's there. People come to greet him, including one that's in a bob haircut and a dress and stuff like that, that says, I'm so sorry. And then we see Roman in the group after he kind of yells at his mother because they're dealing with grief and stuff like that. They're trying to pack up Rocky's apartment and all this stuff. And he's got anger issues. One, he lost his brother, and two, he's also got some stuff from his past. And then Lisa, Lauren Graham's character, is out of the picture for a while. Boo! I want to see more Lauren Graham. Actually, we got to see quite a bit of her in Bad Santa. Another story for another day. But I do also want to shout Tasha Smith as Charlotte, the one that kind of heads this whole group, and Cree, who is in Turtles All the Way Down, that has a brief role as Bianca. I thought she was good in that. Turtles All the Way Down, pretty good movie. Good start to her young career because I think she's only in her early 20s. But when they introduced Ashlyn, I'm like, yes, my God, yes, more of her. And I mean with respect to her acting. And the fact she's a smoke show. She plays a receptionist. She works at the place that Dennis works at. And certain things get revealed as stuff goes on. We have basically, we see more meetings and stuff like that. And one of the things is Roman talks about, last thing that you said. The last thing that was said to, your twin. And Dennis ends up basically saying the last thing he said to Dean, he says the story about about basically he wanted to be picked up from the airport and he crashed. And my last words to him were, fuck you. So we have that, and we have a shopping point at a nice grocery store that looks very uptown. It's in Portland, Oregon, by the way. I have a feeling some of this was filmed in Seattle because a lot of that looks a little bit too nice for Portland. Not that there aren't bad parts of Seattle. But they end up forming a friendship and stuff like that. They go to, a cracking game, stuff like that. And it's good. It's a nice, good friendship. And then we look at a restaurant where it's just Dennis eating. And he's eating a sandwich. And a little bit earlier, after the meeting, they ended up, the first meeting, there was sandwich eating and stuff like that. And that's the theme that carries out through the movie. So, Dennis is there. And suddenly, Roman shows up with a mustache. Oh, wait, it's Rocky. It's a flashback in the best way possible. Seamless. Good shit right there. Very good shit. So they end up, and Rocky was gay, by the way. And that's another thing about it, is Dennis is very gay. Nothing wrong with that. You have a problem with gay people. What the fuck is your deal? Why can't you get your head out of the goddamn clouds or out of the ground? Buried 6 feet under, which is where those beliefs should be. Rise up and realize people deserve to be as they are. So, they end up having a nice night, Rocky and Dennis, where they confess a lot of stuff, they fuck a lot. And they're just having a really nice night. Dennis feels he met his soulmate. His boss doesn't really want to say anything about her personal life, but here's something from him. Oh, I texted this guy a lot. You shouldn't text him anymore. Marcy tries to be a little bit more encouraging, but maybe it's not going to work out, but you'll see. And then Dennis is driving along. Drives along and sees Rocky and another guy. Right along that same restaurant. For the beginning. Drives along. They start crossing the street, and he's gunning it, and he stops. And then he gets out of the car, without pulling off to the side, by the way, but then again, it's Portland, traffic's always bad, and says, "Hey, Rocky, fuck you." "Wait a minute," Rocky says, comes across, boom! He was there. And that right there is where, like, the instant I saw that, I go, oh no. Oh, he's going to hit him. He's going to reveal that he hit him. Oh no, he did. Oh no, it's even worse. Because he could have just gone across the street. He got hit by, and he didn't tell Roman. And he hasn't told Roman. And then during their shopping trip, they see the guy that was there with Rocky. That was there and didn't see what the guy looked like because it happened so fast. He knows it's Dennis. And this just becomes a haunting flick of just, wow, of just, man, my God. You can see it unraveling for Dennis. You can see it fucking unraveling. He really should have told him right there. But then Roman ends up basically saying, I ever find the guy, and he even says this when the guy tells him that he's going to rip his balls off, this kind of stuff, do a whole bunch of nasty shit. So yeah, Dennis probably shouldn't say anything in a public setting. And also after the first hockey game, some guys decided to say homophobic shit that I will not repeat here. And basically Roman ends up beating them up. And part of the reason for that is, as things go on and stuff like that, there's even a nice party that Marcy has, where Marcy and Roman end up getting together. But there's also one scene that is going to stick in my fucking mind, where they're in the hotel room, Dylan and James, and he says, you can talk to me like, I'm Rocky if you want. And he basically just, it's part of the reason stuff like, just starts out okay, kind of pouring his heart out a little bit. And then he gets more emotional. I cannot encapsulate how great Dylan O'Brien was here. And he basically says, when you came out, I'm sorry I called you that word. The F word, the F-gay word that I'm not going to repeat. I shouldn't have done that, and I shouldn't have done that. And that's part of the reason why he lashes out the way he does. And he just, it's not blubbering like in comical ways. Like, I don't know where he found this. I don't know how he found that, to make it so genuine, but good on him. But man, and he did that, and it haunted him because they were separated for a bit and stuff like that. But he felt bad. He felt bad for what he did. Now, it's not like his brother hated him, but for a bit there was some tension. And then we get the party. We get him and Marcy together, or Roman and Marcy together. And there's a guy named Sammy that Roman works with that is gay. And it doesn't quite work. Let's just say. Sammy even basically says, when offered for a double date, no, I'm not going to do that. And earlier in the scene, the grocery store scene, Dennis puts on a fake British accent. That right there is when the guy knew, like, what it was. But he wasn't going to say anything because, okay. Because he thought it was Rocky. And he's like, no, shit. No, it's not. I saw him. I'm sorry. That's another thing about this. He gets support group meetings. And, again, Creed does a pretty good job here in a couple scenes. Tasha Smith does a really good job as a mediator of this, by the way. I don't remember the other names of the characters. I apologize. But really, now that that's revealed, now you wait for the other shoe to drop. We see, early on, before all that party stuff and everything, that how they ended up meeting is Dennis was still pining after Rocky, saw that Roman looked like him, and ended up seeing the support group, and was just looking and saw Roman sitting in there. And then because he was invited in, he felt the need to concoct something. He should have just said, no, I don't have a twin, this kind of stuff, I'll wait outside. Unfortunately, he just wanted to be closer to him, so he made that up, and then it's just the lie becomes the truth to him, but it gets cracks revealed in it. Because Marcy is very perceptive. She knows that he doesn't have a twin. She ends up basically realizing he doesn't have a twin. There's like a moment where Dennis tries to like have a freak out anxiety attack in like some kind of weird amusement park thing, at museum thing. I don't know what the fuck that thing was supposed to be. Really good shots, by the way. And there are some great shots where it's like right down the middle of like these two characters interacting, which I thought was a nice little, creative touch. And then Marcy basically, him and or her rather, and Roman are really getting close. And, there's Christmas or stuff like that. And there's even like, the gifting tree. Like, was a book, because from an earlier bookstore scene, there's like a blank cover, because maybe he could design, maybe Dennis could design one. And then Marcy basically talks to him and says, look, I know you don't have a twin. You got to tell him you don't have a twin. You got to tell him this stuff. Maybe he can forgive you, but you can't keep living this lie. And eventually they go to another hockey game. He basically ends up confessing all this stuff. And he says, those were the last words I said to your brother. I didn't kill him, but I feel responsible, this kind of stuff. And Roman, understandably, with all this friendship and stuff like that, and there's even a little sub thing about The Sims where they had the little diamond things above their heads. I don't know shit about The Sims, except it's a game that doesn't interest me. But that's a game that him and his brother used to play. So Dennis confesses all this stuff, even though obviously he was in the wrong. And he was in the wrong. Like, he wanted to be close to Roman, but he could have done that without revealing the thing about, without, being part of the group. He could have just waited and said, hey, Sade, this kind of stuff. But you bond over grief, even if it's manufactured. So Roman basically goes off and punches him quite a bit. And I think it's more that he felt betrayed than anything else, but also, oh, you're the one that saw my brother die. And, my last words to him were, fuck you, and boom. And then Roman is like trying to handle it. Marcy is trying to be there for him. They end up having seemingly a happy ending, shall we say. But he's snapping about Rocky's apartment, and he's trying not to snap at her because he's trying to be better. And Lauren Graham actually has some good scenes in this, where she said during the Christmas part, they say there's nothing worse than losing a child, but maybe there is. And it's before it is revealed that Dennis does not have a twin. And man, that's just, I'm not saying like absolutely gut-bustingly shocking, but it's just the reveal of it and the way they did it that I thought was just masterfully done. And then basically Roman doesn't really want to talk to him anymore, but they have one final meeting at the restaurant that was in the beginning. I can't stay long. And they talk a little bit and stuff like that. And one other theme was, Roman didn't like to be corrected in a snide way. He liked to be corrected in a positive way. And instead of a lateral move, he was saying a ladder move to his, about getting another job. Or getting like some other kind of job or whatever. Like, damn it, I kept saying a ladder move this whole time. So they're talking, him and James. And they end up sharing they end up eating sandwiches, essentially. And they're talking a little bit. And Dennis is no longer working at that job because of a lot of shit, like that stuff and everything and all that. And lying about certain things, but also the fact he wasn't at work for a bit because he got the shit beat out of him, which justifiably so. And then we basically end the movie right there. That's just pretty much the end. They have a common ground, but they will probably never be friends again. There's even like one line, do you think we would have been friends had we met under different circumstances? And Dennis even has some stuff like where he says, like, they say be yourself, but which version of me? I hate basically most of them. But when I was with you, that's the version that's the me that I wanted to be. That's fucking heartbreaking shit right there, folks. You should always be yourself. Unless you're me, then be literally anybody else. But there are just some tremendous pieces of dialogue in this, and just The narrative's simple. I know I bounce back and forth with a bit of this stuff, but it's just so good. Twinless is so good. A plus. What the fuck am I saying? Not adding a plus on there. A plus. If it's not in my top 15 for movies of the year, I will be amazed. But again, career-making performance by Dylan O'Brien. James Sweeney was fabulous. Ashlyn was great. Even the supporting characters really did a great job with this. Simplistic on the surface, complex underneath. A plus. Agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland, and until we're twinless again, oh dear me, that's a dark ending. Happy trails to you.